Hello, everybody. It's Friday. It's 12 o'clock, which means it's Wow Ergonomics. Stephen, how are you?
I'm very well. Yourself? Are you with us? I hear you had a late night last night.
I am with you. Yes, I'm fine. I got rudely awakened by the dustman, by the quote blur. I got rudely awakened last night at. Oh, look, we haven't gone live on LinkedIn for some reason.
Oh,
Oh, come on. Having trouble streaming to LinkedIn. It's a problem on LinkedIn's end.
is it?
What we'll do is keep going, and
Yeah, yeah,
then I'll have to restream it to LinkedIn later. You
yeah.
naughty LinkedIn people.
Tut, tut, tut.
Honestly, But as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by the technology.
Mm.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was a good night last night. Went out last night. Enjoyed a gig in Bristol.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got woken up by the kids at 6:30 this morning, as per usual. When I stumbled in at 1 o'clock, I was perfectly fine. Just
Will you be
was
will you
like,
be flagging late? Will you be flagging later, or you just keep pushing through?
no, just enough cups of tea. I'll be fine. I'll
Yeah,
be
yeah.
absolutely fine.
Good.
We've got a wonderful guest for you today, folks. And we're looking forward to talking to her. And we're going to bring her on now. So if I can just move that out of the way and do that as well, I'm going to say a wonderful hello to Beth Jackson.
Hi.
Hello, Beth. How are you?
I have to apologise because every time I do a LinkedIn live, it doesn't go live on LinkedIn. So it's
So
me.
it's your fault.
Is it you?
It's
Right.
your
Okay.
fault. Okay. Right. Kick
Why
her
does
off.
it do that?
Next guest.
Every time I've done
Well,
it.
it will go out in LinkedIn later because what I'll do is I'll just reschedule it straight away afterwards to go out. And actually, it's not. I'll tell you what. I don't think it's your fault. I'm going to blame Rebecca Pay.
Okay.
And Rebecca, if you're watching, it is your fault because and Rebecca announced today that she was doing a live at midday as well. And I did say to her, "That's lovely," and I would normally come along and watch your thing, but that clashes with Wow. And she went, "Oops, yeah." So it does. So now it won't because I'll probably put it out at 1 o'clock, and then people can see it then.
So we'll go with Rebecca then. It's good to have an arch enemy every now and then. I like that.
It's not an arch enemy. I'm not enemies with anybody on LinkedIn. Everybody's my friend, apart from the people that don't like me. Beth, for the people that have never met you before or don't know you, tell us a little bit about you.
I am Beth. I'm one half of Two Sisters Accounting. Just try and make accounting a little bit more fun because let's be honest, it's boring. And just try and make it understandable for people because everyone has either been told at school that they're shit at maths, which has nothing to do with accounting, or thinks accountants are scary because their dad's mate was mean to them once. And so we're just trying to strip that away and just be like, normal people can be accountants. And small businesses need to understand their numbers, otherwise they ain't going to do well. And it really upsets me when people are like, oh no, I don't touch my number because I don't understand it. We're getting rid of that.
Yeah, good. It's changing though, isn't it? The face of accountancy is changing.
Yeah.
Because you're right. When I was at school, if someone said they wanted to be an accountant, no, actually, I'm lying. Nobody said I want to be an accountant when they grow up. It was that or estate agents. No disrespect to any estate agent. This was just what was being said at the time. Okay, this is just rhetoric. But estate agents, you didn't want to work as an estate agent. You didn't want to work for HMRC. No one still does. And you don't want to be an accountant. No. all of those professions were seen as probably boring.
Yeah.
In some shape or form. Did you ever want to be an accountant, Steve?
Not really.
I didn't want to be an accountant.
No. Are there any accountants who wanted to be accountants? That's what, Graham, there's a poll. There is a poll for you. For accountants only, hand on heart, who actually wanted to be an accountant, and see what your response is on that one. And I think going by Beth's reaction, it's going to be pretty low.
Massively. But so that's a good question for you. First off question is, how come if you didn't really want to be an accountant and accountancy might be boring. How come you ended up being an accountant? And is it just because there was a rebellious nature inside you and you thought, I could be the accountant that isn't that accountant?
No, I mean, it's partly to do with rebellious nature, but it's because I dropped out of college when I was 17 because I hate traditional education.
Nice.
And I applied for a job in customer services and they went, oh, you've got an AS level in maths, we'll stick you in the payroll department. So I fell into it, as many accountants do. I got given a job and I went, oh, yeah, I'm all right at this and it'll probably pay me some money. And here we are today.
I like that. It's just like, okay, actually, I find I can do this. It's not that bad after all. And then, a few years down the line, you're there and you're just doing it. What is it you're mainly trying to change about the face of accountancy? What's really needed?
It's not so much the face of accountancy, it's more small businesses and their attitudes towards their accounts, because it makes, especially with women in business, so many of them have believed that they're bad at numbers and therefore just stick their head in the sand or think that accountants are scary and stuff, and then don't understand their business numbers. If you say to them, what's your turnover, they haven't got a clue. I'm like, how can you grow your business? How can you push to the next step? How can you know if you're even making any money, like if what you're doing is worth your time, all of that, if you don't understand your numbers? So it's more from like a business point of view. I don't want people running businesses and then not having a clue what they're doing.
Yeah. Do you think time plays a big element in it though as well? I mean, it's just well, here's the other thing as well. Although I say there were loads of people that said that they didn't want to be an accountant, we did also believe that accountants made lots of money. So is it that people think, well, actually, it's going to cost me a lot of money if I put it via an accountant?
People do definitely think that. We're probably not as expensive as you think we are. I mean, if you try and go to like KPMG or Ernst Young, I mean, they cost thousands of pounds, but they probably also won't let you be their client because you're not a million.
Yeah, I tried last week. They said no. Yeah.
And I can confirm that actually most accountants, if they're working in practice, so like working for other small businesses, it's the people that are in businesses. So it's like the people that are being finance directors for like £1 million companies. They're the ones that make the big cash.
Is it very much a regional sort of business? I mean, obviously you've had the whole move to online with COVID and everything sort of speeding up that sort of the online transactional piece. But is it very much accountants, like you said with estate agents before? Is it tend to be people work in geographical areas, or is it now, has that changed? Or
ever since we've started, we've had clients across the UK. We do have some local because some people still like the idea that they can come and see us. But in reality, we maybe see a client every 6 months. And that's, right. I mean, I don't mean like one client, like we see in total out of all our clients, maybe one per 6 months. People just don't want to see you because we've all realised that actually leaving your house, going to an office, sitting there for an hour, having a polite cup of tea and stuff, it's just a time killer. And everyone's like, I don't have enough time, I'm busy. So people would rather email us, Zoom us, do all of that. They don't really want to see me in person, which is ace for me because it means I don't have to get dressed.
When just a little disclaimer there, when Beth says that she doesn't need to get dressed, what she means is that she doesn't need to necessarily get dressed up to visit you as an accountant or to see you in an office somewhere. Because naked accountancy is a completely different thing, and we won't even
digging. Keep digging, Graham. Keep digging.
And it's like the whole TikTok I'm an accountant thing. We don't go down that route.
No. Is that a thing? TikTok I'm an accountant.
Oh, it's adult industry people. It's an in joke that instead of saying what they do,
right? Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah,
it's so boring. Nobody will ask them more questions.
Right.
There we go. In terms of accountancy, one of the things that has cropped up over the years is the busy season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for anyone that's listening that's never understood the seasonal changes of accountancy. Just explain what the busy season is or the busy time of year is. And then maybe we can have a little conversation around that in terms of accountancy health and well-being, because it's not a great time of year for accountants when it gets busy, is it?
No, so 31st of January is the tax return deadline. And if you are self-employed, if you have a rental property, if you earn over 100 grand, if you're director of a limited company, 100, if you regularly sell shares, 101 reasons that you need to do a tax return, they've all got to be in by the 31st of January. You have from April through to the 31st of January to get them filed. You got a good 9 months. However, everybody loves a deadline, don't we? We all work to.
No, I don't. I hate them. Honestly, I look. I'm going to let you finish, but I do want to come back to this as a topic, because I get really annoyed with HMRC about this whole deadline thing. But yeah, carry on, please.
I mean, I'm in your account, Graham, but everyone else, you've got to take the kids swimming and do 15 other things. So your tax return just falls down the pile until I'm screaming at you. So most people gets to about now when people start thinking, oh gosh, I should do that. But a lot of them don't send me their stuff until December, possibly mid-January. And they go, oh, well, it's due by the end of January, so I'll get it to you mid-January, because, that's when you want it. It's not when I want it. I want it in June.
What can be done? What can be done to sort of smooth out that workload? I mean, is there anything that is it behavioural? Is it something that HMRC can do something? Is this something that can be sort of helped to smooth out that sort of time constraint or craziness that you have to go through?
I mean, it's a £1 million question. This year, I'm not too worried about December and January, because I have my list and I sort of portion people off into which months they're going to get done. And I know the people that tend to get it to me early. I leave a chunk of the people that I know, regardless of what I do, I could turn up on their doorstep and threaten to hit them with a fish, and they will not get it to me till mid-January. Okay. Like, you learn your clients, you learn their behavior, and then you plan your work to know your clients. Some people you can educate, some people you can bribe, some people you can, just harass them and they'll get it to you earlier. Some people you just have to accept they ain't doing it.
No. Yeah. I think there is some things that can be done. I've been doing some work with a guy called Prafish Chambiff. I don't know whether you've come across him at all, Beth.
I'm terrible with names, to be honest.
Okay. He's created quite a unique piece of middleware solution between people and their accountants, right? And what he's done is he's looked at that problem, and he's kind of identified that actually the bit in the middle, which is kind of getting all of the stuff together, traditionally means that people need to do some of that themselves and use bits of software and whatever, and actually sit at a computer for a little bit of time and whatever. So what he's done is he's got and I'm not saying this is going to be the only solution, but I like the way that he was going with it. He's recognised that a lot of busy business owners, after getting the invoices out, which is probably hard enough for a lot of small business owners anyway, but after getting the invoices out and maybe chasing the money to come in, all of the rest of it is just a faff. So he's created this solution which is part AI, it's part outsourced bookkeeping, and you literally just throw your figures at them, and they just make sure it all happens. Yeah, it is quite clever, and he's found ways of doing it which people find the least amount of effort. So you can literally use things like WhatsApp, and there's a particular WhatsApp channel, and you can literally just go, here's this, here's that, and you don't have to put it in the right boxes or whatever like you do with some bits of software. You literally upload, and someone that's a proper bookkeeper at the other end looks at it and goes, well, that's meant to be there, that's meant to be there, and then they just send it all back down to you, and they go, right, it's ready for your accountant now.
That's clever.
And, yeah. So I think part of it could be a time related thing. I think it could just be like because everybody's sort of in business is traveling at 100 miles an hour nowadays. And they just don't have time to sit and go, I've got to do that. I've got to do that. And ultimately, although the accounts, and here's kind of the correlation between ergonomics as well, although accounts should be a really fundamental and important part of your business, think for a lot of people, cerebrally, it's not. Because actually what they think is really important part of the business is making the money.
Yeah.
They don't see the correlation, I think, between getting your accounts, knowing how much money you've actually got to spend, and making money.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that old kind of human nature thing about like, what does a piece of work look like? It's like a piece of work looks like somebody needs a hole dug. I go out, I dig a hole, right? Not like, I need to dig the hole. I need a spade or a bucket, and I need all of this equipment, and that costs money. And in order to buy that, I need to make sure I've got enough money, and therefore I need to know all of the monetary side first before I know that I can actually go and dig the hole. People just think about that needs doing. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go out. I'm going to do that, and then maybe I'll charge for it. Builders must be a really good example, Beth.
I think your example works until it flips on its head when it comes to people's accounts, when they suddenly go, oh my God, I need to do my accounts. And they think it's this huge mammoth 6-month thing that they think it's going to take them 3 days. And it's like, actually, when you sit down and do it, it's probably going to take you 2 hours. But I think everyone in their head builds it up to be this absolute task, and so they put it off and put it off and put it off because they're like, oh my God, it's going to be huge, it's going to be terrible. It's like everything that you build up in your head, when you actually do it, you're like, oh, that's embarrassing, that was really
do you know what, I can totally agree with that, because when I do my self-assessment, I get the email that comes through like the second week of April from HMRC, and it gets done about July or August, and it's when I do it, it takes like 40 minutes, but in my head the email just sits in the inbox. Oh, no, I'll do it next weekend. And then it's like, when you do it, it's like, what was the hassle? It was really, really straightforward. Why did I make that a massive issue when it wasn't?
When I was talking about this earlier, Beth, and I was saying, well, I because I don't know whether it's my ADHD or whatever, but when that I'm waiting for it. I'm even asking HMRC for it. And when that self-assessment date comes through or whatever, I'm right on there. April the 6th, I'm right on there. I'm filling it all in. I'm doing it. And then I'm like, I've done it. Now, what I don't like, going back to that conversation, is all the way then throughout the year, HMRC send me things that make me panic because they go, you haven't done your accounts. You haven't done your accounts. They send me reminders. It's time to do your accounts. And then I can ignore it completely for the first few months. But it's about sort of 6 months in, I'm then going, have I done it? Haven't I done it? Have I done it for this year, or is it next year that I have? They confuse the out of me so much. I just want them to leave me alone. And what I really want them to send me a thing is a massive, great Dayglow poster. Remember Dayglow? Dayglow was great. Stephen, you must remember Dayglow. Yeah? You know what I mean?
I do.
I want them to send me a massive Dayglow poster that says, well done, you've done your accounts for this year. Go to bed, sleep at night,
The bit that makes me panic more now, on top of the email, is the fact where you load the HMRC app onto your iPhone. And then where you've got a message where there's like a little circle and it just denotes there's a notification like, oh, I don't want to look at that. What do they want? I thought I'd done it. Oh, I just keep, and then it keeps bothering you. It's just like I must have a look.
No, just don't get the app.
Okay, there we go. App. Delete that first job after this. Delete the app. Beth said.
Fix that for you.
Yeah, thank you.
But and don't get me on my high horse about the whole thing. But ultimately as well, I'd just like to say, government, that if
anyone in particular or just the whole?
No, I was just going to say, but if those brown envelopes that you said, well, HMRC in particular,
okay,
those brown envelopes that you send through the post year in, year out, hundreds of them that are just repeat information. If we really wanted to be sustainable, we'd stop cutting down trees and making envelopes and sending out bits of paper. And B, just think of all the money we could save. We could and we could just give it back to people, and then we'd have less money problems. So just stop it. It's just
if they stopped sending you all that waste post reminding you to do a tax return you've already done, or sending out the mass emails reminding you to do a tax return you've already done, they could afford to buy us all Day Glow posters.
There we go. Problem solved.
Oh, Beth, you've made my day.
There we go.
But because we diverged from the subject, which was so during
I totally forgot what the subject was. To be honest,
the busy time of year. Yes. When we get to that busy time of year where you're doing all of that stuff, 9 to 5 kind of goes out the window, doesn't it?
Not for me.
Oh, not for you. Good. I love this.
Because like I say, I've planned it. I have planned it from April. I've been working through tax returns. I have my schedule. I have my plan. I'm also a fairly chronically exhausted person. So I have to plan. It's the reason I don't really work Fridays, because I need to rest on Fridays, and I work from home Wednesdays. So I have like a midweek sofa day to manage my energy. So actually for me, if I try to work outside of 9 to 5, it's a waste of time anyway. I'm not doing anything. I get to sort of 4:30 and my brain's gone. If I try and work into the evening, I'm just sitting there headbutting a keyboard, and then I have to undo everything I did the next morning. I look at what I did the last night and I'm like, what is that? So for me, no. I know for a lot of accountants, they put hundreds of hours in. But part of what we do at the firm, Jessie does it with the limited company accounts as well. We work from year end date, we don't work to filing dates. So once you're past your company year end, we're then looking, can we do your accounts? Can we do your tax return? Let's get it done then. Instead of going, we're a month away from your filing date, we'll now start the work. Which a lot of accountants seem to do, and they're doing it backwards.
Okay, so this actually is a really interesting discussion. So does this mean that a lot of accountants are doing it wrong?
I mean, I'm not allowed to say that, but yes.
So massive ergonomic principle is get your workflow right, because if you get your workflow right, then actually you put less pressure on yourself in terms of tasks.
Hugely. So many accountants work to filing date, which is just, for me, it's backwards. Once you're past your year end, you've got 9 months to do it. So why not do it when you've got 9 months to do it instead of when you've got a month to do it? Obviously, again, there's some clients where you chase and chase and chase and they ignore you, but then there's only 1 or 2 that you're trying to fit in, but you've got the time to fit it in because you've still got 8 months for everyone else. You've still got time for everything. We build in time for everything, which is why when people come to us and they're like, I've only got a month to do my accounts, nobody can help me, can you help? And we're like, yeah, sure, we've got loads of capacity because we've planned our work. Neither of us like being stressed. We both struggle with being tired and exhaustion and stuff like that. So you have to plan around that. You have to plan that actually you might need a week where you just need to sit down quietly, and if you've left yourself no time to do that, it's going to explode. So we don't.
It's interesting you say that, because I know a family friend, and I remember him saying that you won't see me in January. Literally, that was it. January. Don't ask me to anything social, sporting, or anything, because, and again, like you say, that could well be down to the clients. But that was the way he was, is that I'm literally January the 1st till the 31st, diary's full on work.
But that, because it sounds though, it's down to not communicating with your clients properly about what you need and when.
Some of it is. Some of them will just, like I say, some of them, because I start harassing people from April, I think every month or so.
Sensible.
They get an automated email. The software does it for you. They get an automated email saying, oi, give me your stuff. Then
oi. Does it actually say oi?
Oi, I love that.
Oi, give me your stuff.
The automated one don't. The one when we send updates to our clients throughout the year that I actually write myself, some of them do have oi in them.
Brilliant.
Do you know what? I think that's better. Again, going back to HMRC, I'm sure there's lovely people at HMRC. I think it'd be great if actually that was the kind of terminology. Oi, give me your accounts now, or give me your end of year self-assessment now. And then it could soften when you've done it as well. It could be, you're a lovely person. You've given me all of your wonderful figures. Here's what you owe me. So that'd be good. So twisting that around to ergonomics, and why I say it's the same thing is because that's the same issue we kind of have with people and sort of taking care of themselves in terms of creating better ergonomics where they work as well, which is that actually they think in their head that it is going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, they think, you know, sorting it out on a day-to-day basis, too much effort. And this is going to be a big thing. And I'm going to need lots and lots and lots of special stuff, maybe, in order to sort it out. And actually, it might only be a tiny little thing, or it might be only tiny little adjustments. And talking about one of our favourite topics of conversation, working with a laptop, Stephen.
Yeah.
And for Beth, you're here today because actually you saw Sarah's post, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I saw that. And then you called the challenge was put down for Beth to come on the show, wasn't it?
Absolutely. There you
go.
Right. But that little thing of like Sarah's now got something to work with and whatever. But the thing is that so many people think, I couldn't be bothered with that. I've just got to get the laptop. Just get the laptop out. You know, this means I've got to actually like plug in a separate keyboard. I've got to use a separate mouse and whatever. It's 5 minutes at the end of the day, right? But what people don't think about is 5 minutes maybe at the beginning of the day, or maybe, you know, because you probably have that all set up if you're working from home all the time, but 5 minutes when maybe you go to a cafe for 3 or 4 hours to work or whatever, might only be 5 minutes. But if you spend that 5 minutes, the difference then in terms of your productivity and how you feel and whatever for the next 3 hours is immense. So rather than then when you're sitting there, you're going, I can't focus, I can't concentrate, my back hurts, you know, you know, I feel miserable, I need the toilet every 5 minutes because I'm hunched over, whatever. All of those things, they all disappear because you've actually done it right in the first place and you spent those 5 minutes. It's pretty much, you see, it's virtually exactly the same. 5 minutes doing your accounts, get it done.
Exactly. Right? I think another tying across the two is people are scared of being told off for doing it wrong. With accountants, they're scared that they're going to be told off for doing it wrong. And I imagine with you guys, they're like, oh, I'm too embarrassed. I don't want to admit that I'm working from a bin bag that can't know, and they're embarrassed. And it's like, we might judge you quietly, but we're not going to judge you to your face.
No.
We're not even going to judge you. I mean, if that's what you're doing, I mean, that's just what you're doing, isn't it? The truth of the matter is no one knows until they know, do they?
Exactly. No. This is what I have to say to people all the time. They get really embarrassed and it's like, well, you don't know until you're told. And now I'm telling you, if I've told you 15 times and you've still not got there, then, you know, we need to work something out. But you can't be embarrassed about not knowing something because, you know, you've not been taught it.
I spent Wednesday this week with one of our partners, resellers of our products. It was National Customer Service Week, so I was invited in. Oh, hello.
Hang on. For anyone that's listening to this right now, a cat has appeared. It's a wonderful specimen of the species.
This is Bruno. Yeah, sorry, he obviously decided he wasn't getting enough attention.
Who's what type of cat is that?
A ginger one.
Well, just a ginger one. I don't know the technical name. Ginger cat has appeared on the screen. Called Bruno. What? Bruno after
Frank?
No,
or Tognoli.
Bruno Brooks.
Bruno Brooks. Hello, 1985.
Well, I was thinking like a perm, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, are they the only three Brunos we've got? Tognoli, Brooks, and Frank.
Yeah.
And later days don't talk about Bruno from Encanto, but he predates Encanto.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, Stephen, you got completely.
Sorry. No, that's absolutely fine. I'm used to it on this show. No, I was just saying, I was on Wednesday. It's been National Customer Services Week, so I was with one of our reseller partners this week, training their customer service team around ergonomics. You might have seen some of the posts they put out this week, Graham, and it was really interesting, just sort of going back to basics and sort of educating the team around it. And so much interest came back, but sort of one of my favorite analogies, which I use probably in every training session, is about your head, and Graham will know this, weighing approximately the same as a 10-pin bowling ball.
Oh, it's bonkers.
So that, explaining that the fact that you're sort of leaning forward for a number of hours, the pressure it creates on your shoulder and your neck and your back, just from that alone, is immense. And you sort of go through that, and people go, actually, do you know what? Now you mention that, and it is just a case of what you know. If people don't know any different, then, like we've always said on this show, working with a laptop flat on a table, oh, well, I've seen it in IKEA and I've seen it in the BBC website and I've seen it on social media, it must be okay. If that's what you see, that's what you know. But actually, we're sort of trying to blow that to one side, aren't we, Graham? And getting the norm being the laptop in a different position with some type of supporting accessory. So I say, for me, it was really interesting going back to basics and sort of seeing the penny drop with a lot of people, and then going, yeah, actually, we have that issue. We can relate to what you're talking about now. We understand why your company makes these things. We just maybe didn't then know that a lot of them actually existed, or they were available or out there.
Yeah, no, it's quite, that whole head thing, by the way. I'm just seeing if I can steal off the internet very, very quickly. Some kind of graphical representation.
There is one I've seen, and it talks about for every degree you move your head forward, how much it multiplies the weight of your head. That's the one you're thinking of, isn't it? And
that's what I'm getting right now.
Are you falling asleep? Beth's falling asleep there. We're clearly boring.
I was trying to see how much heavier my head feels the further forward it is. Because
here we go, folks.
Have you found it?
For anyone that wants to know, here we go. Right. So this is it basically. Go. So if your head weighs around 5 kilograms, all right, and that's the downward pressure on your cervical spine, your neck, basically, at 0 degrees. But for every one of those 15-degree tilts, that 5 kilogram weight gets increased by those increments. So at 15 degrees, 12k, 30 degrees, 18k, 45 degrees, 22k. By the time you get to 60 degrees, 27 kilograms.
So it's over 5 times the weight. Your head, the pressure or the weight pressure is increased 5-fold simply by taking what looks like a standard mobile phone position.
It's bonkers.
It is bonkers. And then people wonder, right? And you've all experienced this, I know. Why, when you sit there and then you stop doing work and you get that kind of burning sensation right here in the base of the neck, that's because that part of the neck's been taking a lot of weight for a long time. And that's why you end up sitting there going, oh my goodness, my neck, for the rest of the day. Just don't do it. The fact of the matter is, what we need to really try and get people to stop doing is do it when they've got an actual chance to do it with computers and whatever. Because one of the things is, Beth, we're probably never going to stop people using one of these.
You're not.
Right. But by the way, for those that are listening, that's me holding up a mobile phone, not a ginger cat. So
what, the ginger cat holding up the mobile phone, or you holding up the ginger cat?
Cats are actually much better. Cats are much better at holding up mobile phones. If you've ever gone on Instagram and had a look, there's loads of photos of cats holding, because they've got 4 legs and they can put it between their bottom legs. And anyway, but for humans, we can't. So therefore, when we're using one of these things, as we're sort of going about our day, we do tend to spend a lot of time looking down at the mobile phone. So because we're going to be doing that anyway, which isn't ideal, and there are things you can get, by the way, for your desk that help you sort of hold your phone up as well. But because we are going to be doing that, then what we don't want to be doing is doing that when we've got a fixed kind of screen in front of us the rest of the time. So all of you people who have been wondering out there whether or not it's worth buying a laptop stand, yes, it is.
Because your head is heavy.
Yeah, because it's blinking heavy. It's not just heavy; it's really heavy. And just to make you feel better about it, in case you were wondering whether or not it is completely worth it, just think about it this way, folks. You like to think that you're intelligent, don't you? Well, the more intelligent you are, the more brains you've got. The more brains you've got, the more your head weighs. It's probably scientifically not true, But at least if we tell people that, then they're more likely to do it because they think
it must be true. If you've got a bigger brain, it's got to weigh more, surely.
Yeah, it doesn't mean to say because you've got a bigger brain, there's more in it.
No,
it might just be.
It's like koalas have really smooth brains, and it's to do with how many brain dimples you got that makes you smart. So koalas have really smooth brains because they're really dumb.
Okay.
Are they really dumb? Oh, they are really cute though. They're really cute though.
Really cute, but not intelligent.
They really don't need big brains, do they? They just sit there and go.
Yeah, I mean,
don't they just eat eucalyptus leaves? Isn't that what they do all day?
Yeah, because they don't actually get enough energy from the eucalyptus to fuel them, so they have to eat so much of it. I mean, they're a very badly designed animal, apart from the fact that they're so stinking cute.
Yeah. Tell us if it's not too personal, Beth. You say that you kind of have to have breaks during the day for yourself and rest, etc. And you've got some kind of chronic fatigue.
Nothing diagnosed. I'm just a very tired person, and I always have been.
Yeah.
The doctors have no answers, so I've just learnt to adapt my life, which
I don't know whether you've come across that kind of more in recent times, Stephen, but I certainly I know when I was out assessing, I was seeing more and more people. Quite a few had got a diagnosis of fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome or whatever, but more and more people who do have the need to rest as part of their day. So
anecdotally, everyone was hit during COVID, wasn't there? Everyone, despite the fact we were doing less in terms of we weren't moving around as much or traveling, etc. Everyone was just wiped out at the end of the day, weren't they? It just seemed to sort of sweep across everyone, and whether some of that sort of carried on with a lot of people, I guess it could well be, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is it comes from being non-mobile anymore. It's a different kind of tired. Let's just talk about this for a minute, because it's a different kind of tired when you're active and then you're tired from when you're non-active and tired. I think people don't realize just how kind of almost physically demanding it is not to move as well.
I find I'm one of those. I've always been I've always needed 9 hours sleep minimum to function. I've always been one of those people. I need a lot of sleep. It's for me it's just I think it's a family thing. We're just a tired, genetically exhausted
species.
And which is partly why for me I have to go into winter having planned my workload and stuff, because I know winter's worse. Vitamin D is a huge thing. Everybody in the UK should take a vitamin D supplement. There's my little soapbox thing, because we're all chronically deficient in this horrible, dark, miserable
and
country.
omega-3 apparently that I'm learning,
which makes a huge difference to your energy levels. I can't even remember my point. It's gone. It's left me. I got distracted by talking about vitamin D.
This often happens on this show where we just completely lose our thread, and it comes back just after the show's ended, and it's like, I want to go back on. I've just remembered that point. So
I've seen and been hearing more and more information on nutrition, etc. Of late, and I've been talking to people that are doing the blood balance tests, and somebody that's in one of my network groups is a leading nutritionist, and she's just written a book, hi Rachel, called The Burnout Bible. And what's quite interesting is that when you start looking at food groups and things, is one of the things I didn't realize is that one of the reasons we're struggling with nutrition is because a lot of the foods that we eat are lacking, which would have been traditionally rich in various things that we need, are now not rich in those things. So there's a lack of vitamins and whatever in fresh fruit because of the way that we farmed it or whatever. There's a lack of omega-3 in a lot of fish because of the way that they're being farmed as well. So we're not naturally getting what we would have done from the natural food cycle. So we are having to look at maybe putting replacement supplements into the body as on top of the food chain in order to get it right, and that has a massive effect on how tired we are and how we function, and I don't think enough of us actually look into it, to be honest.
No, I find it all baffling. I've remembered what we were talking about. We're talking about the difference between like the physical and the mental exhaustion. Because I had a period, it was over the summer, which is even worse, but I think it's because it was such a bleak summer. I had about a month where I was just knackered the whole time. And eventually I managed to come out the other side and felt good again. And then I just had a really bad night's sleep one night. And I woke up the next day and I was like, oh my God, I'm tired, but I'm just tired. I'm not like exhausted. I'm not fatigued. I'm not struggling. I'm just tired. And when you suddenly like have the difference between just I've had a shit night's sleep and like my brain is exhausted, and you suddenly realize there's such a difference between the different sorts of tired that there are out there as well, which I think you sort of don't realize a lot of the time. You just think, oh, I just need a nap, but sometimes it's not that. Sometimes your brain needs to shut up for a bit or whatever.
Do you think we're heading into an interesting period in terms of work where the nature of work, everything is so fast and we're online all of the time, we can't kind of switch anything off, but there's such variance in terms of what people need in terms of being on and being off, etc., that we're going to have to, especially from the kind of ergonomics and our sort of sector point of view, Stephen, do you think we're going to have to start finding different ways of assessing? Because it's not necessarily that you can say, well, this person's in an office 9 to 5 and this is where they work and whatever, and it might well be that you're going to have people do split shifts, or people are going to only have to work, maybe they'll work a bit in the morning and maybe they'll work a bit at night, but actually the middle of the day is out of bounds for them. I just think that there's going to become a lot of difference out there, and that's going to have an impact in terms of the way management are going to have to look at performance from people and the well-being of people as well.
I mean, one of the things I've heard sort of mentioned, and I think it's probably been more in the last 2 or 3 years, is around where organizations are assessing people, but actually they need to assess them across multiple locations. So previously it would be, my job was 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, in that office, in that chair. So the assessment, to all intents and purposes, was relatively straightforward. But then, well, actually, hang on a second, I only come in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I work at home Monday and Friday. So you need to come and assess me in that environment. And I think a lot of the things, going back specifically around things like accessories, Graham, one of the things that I've heard people say quite a bit recently is it's fine when I'm in the office because I've got this and I've got that and I've got the other. But when I work from home, I don't have anything. And therefore, is all the good stuff that's being done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday just being negated by the poor provision or poor setup they've got on a Monday or Friday? So I think for me, it's the assessment piece where that needs to carry on developing is for organizations is to assess across. You've got to be realistic, but all the potential locations in which someone will work, not just their main office desk where they spend 60% of the time. There's got to be some sort of flexibility, or you're almost the good works being underdone or negated by all the bad work, as it were.
Yeah, I think one of the really fundamental things there as well is that I think organizations need to be brave in terms of telling someone that maybe a particular location isn't suitable for them to work in. And rather than trying to find a way of making it work and then realizing if they've got a problem, trying to work out how to fix that problem very quickly. A really good example of that is one of the things I found when we initially went into lockdown and I was still doing some assessments was some of the people that would be like trying to have assessments with over Zoom, they would literally go, "This is my house." And you could see their house on Zoom. So it would be like, I'm sat on the end of the bed and this shelf here that's affixed to the wall, that's my desk. That you can see over there, that's the kitchen and that's the shower. In front of me, just over there, that's the front door. So when then a company are like, well, it'd be really good if we could get them a nice ergonomic chair and a desk and that goes up and down, and it's like, you can't fit that in there.
No,
it ain't happening. It's just, and no joke, no word of a lie. I even had someone go, well, potentially I could kind of fold up the bed and then bring it.
Yeah.
And then outside, I've got like one of those plastic bike sheds, so I could take the bike out of that, and then maybe I could put like a desk and a chair in there, and then bring it in every time I need to work, and then take it back out again. You think that's not going to happen, is it?
But equally, has an individual or an employee got a responsibility? Maybe in their desperation to work from home on a Monday and Friday, or whatever it would be, the other days are available. But is it their desperation to work from home that they themselves put themselves in a position where they're working in something that is unsuitable? Mm-hmm. So yes, I think absolutely the employer has a responsibility, and it'd be interesting to know whether employers who allow that split working actually go out and look at the premises. But equally, I suppose an employee has a responsibility. They need to go, do you know what? I really want to work at home on a Friday because I want to get finished at 4:30 and I want to go to the gym, or whatever you want to do. But actually, if it's not right, maybe they need to put their hand up and say, actually, this isn't for me. This isn't going to work, or I need some help to make this environment work because it really isn't suitable for me to perform productively and at the best of my ability.
Yeah, I've seen one written out assessment process where I thought it was quite a good home assessment process in terms of just the physical side of things. And it actually wanted to know on it, what is the square area of this space that you're working in? And, are there any major sound issues, or is there, are there any access issues or anything like that? Quite in-depth questions. And I thought, actually, that's quite good. Because if someone is trying to work in a shoebox, or it's like, yeah, I work here, but while I'm working here, I've got a next door neighbour that's playing heavy metal all day long. I mean, it's just, unless you can work with heavy metal in the background. I'm not saying you can't, but but the thing is that those things are important, because in an office space, those variables are controllable. The organisation can control those things. Once it's in somebody's home, they can't. And so maybe it just needs to broaden, and maybe more organisations just need to take more, or put more emphasis on asking a few more questions. That work from home, but what does home actually look like? Because if home isn't actually a great space to work in, you're not doing yourself or us or anybody any favors. There are alternatives as well. We've spoken to people like Becky from Reef. Have you heard of Reef, Beth?
I think it rings a bell, but like I say, I'm useless.
It's an app. It's an app. Other apps may well be available. I do not know. Where you can, if you find yourself wherever you are in the country, and you want to work in another space, you can just find a space to work in, and it might be a coffee shop or a church or a restaurant that has got an available space, and it will tell you what facilities they've got. So what kind of space? Have they got a quiet area? Have they got Wi-Fi? Have they got ergonomic aids? It will tell you all of those sort of things, and then allow you to make a booking and go. And it doesn't actually cost you anything to make that booking, and you even get discounts from some of the places as well. You just pay to use the app, which is brilliant. And I think maybe that's, we talked about that a lot, didn't we, during COVID? But maybe that's the answer. Let's use more of these available spaces that are becoming available on the high street as various places close, to make good working spaces where people got a choice. If you can't work from home, go and work somewhere else.
Yeah.
All I can think is that when I was an employee, if my boss said, I'm going to come round and look at your house to see whether it's suitable to work from home, I'd be like, no, you're chuffing not.
Yeah.
But that's why I don't work for anybody else anymore.
But it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people do feel that way, Beth. And I appreciate that. But at the same time, you're doing work for them.
Yeah.
And therefore, is that space a space that you can work in?
It's a very. I know one of my friends works for a like a financial service company, and they have to sort of do a Zoom assessment. I think it's a security based thing, but like she's only allowed to work from spaces that they've done a Zoom assessment to check. But they do it over Zoom, but she's still only allowed to log on from spaces that have sort of been approved. So I guess there is a way that you can do that. Because if you're doing it from a security point of view, you could build in a welfare point of view as well.
Well, it's been another wonderful show. We've had a wonderful guest today. In fact, two, if you count the cat, Beth and Bruno. The two bees
behind me
have turned up today. We will now be trying to put this out live on LinkedIn afterwards. I got a second message, by the way. I don't know whether I told you this. I got a second message from StreamYard to say that they talked to LinkedIn in the middle of this. It says, looks like your stream isn't showing up on LinkedIn. This is an issue with LinkedIn. They're working to fix it. So there you go. Thanks, LinkedIn, for
as we've had no comments during this show, let's put it down to technology, shall we, and say it's not been streaming live.
It hasn't. It has been streaming live on YouTube and Twitter because they always work. LinkedIn, not always. But we will be streaming this live on LinkedIn in a minute. Beth, if you could share this amongst your wonderful community as well, that'd be most appreciated. And we did make a promise, which is that you came on and we'd like to help sort out your ergonomics. So if you could, before we disappear from your lives forever, take your iPhone, your Android, whatever it is that you have, your and take a photo, please, of the working space in front of you, and let us have a copy of that. Then we will find something suitable for you.
So the truth is, usually when I work from home, I work from the sofa because I'm an animal. Because I only do it for like on Wednesdays. It's an exhaustion thing, so I can work while horizontal. I made it to the dining room table for this because I didn't think you'd want this angle of me under a blanket. So I don't really want to send you a photo of it because you know that part where you're like, I'm going to get told off.
Yeah.
My setup in the office is much better. We have like laptop stands and duppy downy desks and stuff. But this setup, you're just going to see my puzzle.
Your puzzle?
Now, you see, why didn't we hear this at the start of the show?
My laptop's half on the puzzle. Honestly, all the time you've been talking about all these proper laptop things, I've just been sat here like,
When you say puzzle,
we know.
What are we talking about?
Jigsaw.
A jigsaw.
Puzzle.
Right.
Yeah.
How big's the jigsaw puzzle?
It is a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle.
Is it? Yeah, but how physically big is that?
Just a bit bigger than a laptop.
Well,
that sort of size, yeah, like A3 size, maybe.
Bigger than that.
A little bit bigger than that.
This is really getting rogue, but I mean, it's material.
Oh, I see. There we literally have what was in front of you now. I love it.
Look, forget the picture of your working environment. Can we have the photo of the jigsaw when it's completed? That's all we want now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, so you have a prime example of how not to work when you're speaking to two people that do work.
I think I think what we'll do is we'll still sort you out with some equipment so that when you're out and about meeting customers, or at Accountex or anything like that, you can work safely and comfortably.
Or do LinkedIn Live, so I don't embarrass myself.
Or doing LinkedIn Lives, absolutely.
Or us.
So, yeah, there we go.
I'm giving you like an improvement. So I'll take a photo of this, and then I'll take a photo afterwards, and I'll be like, "Look what they did! They made me not a mess."
Excellent. That's what we want to hear.
Exactly, folks. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to Beth today, even though she led us a merry jigsaw down the aisle of Bruno. We will be back same time, same place next week at midday. Do stay safe out there, and remember, accounts only takes 5 minutes. Simple as that. As does setting up a laptop stand. So please do it. Till next week. Bye for now.